Okay, welcome to another episode of First Use, and in today's video I'm going to focus on Collingwood's behind the play or behind the ball structure, the way they set up. So the V structure. So how they have this set in place, they've done thousands of hours of homework on doing this, is they make sure that when the kicker looks left, he sees depth perception, he sees players lined up. When he looks right, he sees players lined up. In the clips that I'm about to show you, you'll see how structured they are behind the ball. What it does, it doesn't give the kicker any time to actually look for that free kick, and then it forces them to kick down the line. And that's why they had so many intercept marks last night for Collingwood. So let's get into the clips and I'll show you how they're able to put this structure in place to have a great win against Freo over in Perth. So in the clips I show you today, there's going to be a bit of fast forwarding and so on and so forth. But the whole mode of this, it's like a V shape. So think of the V shape is the kicker. And then the V comes off this way. What a lot of clubs like to do when they set up a zone, they'll have one here, one here, one here. This one here is normally covered by the guys on the mark. So I just want to give you an example of how this is set up. And then they have another one down the line and so on and so forth. But the players these days are so good and precise, especially the likes of Hawthorn, of hitting those little chip kicks. And then it breaks it up and then you're down the next line. What Collingwood is able to do is to actually get in the line of the vision of the kicker, and that's where the V comes into play. So they have one here, they have one on the mark, and they have one here, one here. It's normally about 3 from what I've seen. So the kicker looks left, sees a line of 3, looks right, sees a line of 3, and really struggling with their perception and depth about actually where to kick. So that gives you a really clear example, explanation of what I'm talking about. So we run through some clips. This is really early in the game, and what you see is you have the guy on the mark. They've chipped it over here, but essentially what they were trying to do is get in line of the kicker. So they'll normally leave the boundary line, but mainly corridor. So I'll go through and explain a bit more. So they're looking to try and switch. They're trying to get out of there, and look, there's your line of 3. So I know it's a fast play, but you'll see what I mean in this situation. So now he's coming off the half-back line, and you've got 1, 2, and this is the interception here. So they've always got line of 3. It's always the line of 3 and always in line with the kicker. So when I think it was Pearce coming off the half-back line, he's trying to pinpoint this kick, or he tries to pinpoint this kick, or he tries to pinpoint this kick. But they're covered. There. So Freo's got the ball deep inside their back 50. So man on the mark. 1, 2, 3. In line, in vision with the kicker. Then you've got 1, 2 here. In vision of the kicker. So your depth perception of trying to kick the ball feels like it's a hard kick, and that's why it forces clubs, particularly Freo, when they played Freo, to go really, really slow. And they did this really successfully against Brisbane. So there's a switch of play. And look, they're all trying to look for each other. Trying to see where the next player is behind. They switch it back. Now he has to play on. But you can see that there's always a line of players. And they work so hard for each other to get in that line, the vision of the kicker. So here's an example. So they'll leave on the boundary line. They won't have too many along the boundary line. But look at that line there. Then you got coverage here, but there's the line. There's the kicker. So this is the V I was telling you about. In line with the kicker. So they're not most clubs these days when they set up a zone, they'll sort of go this way. But what Collingwood tries to do is work off the guy in the mark. That's a reference point. The guy in the mark is a reference point because he's the one that's stationary to where the kicker is. And then he has to this setup then forces him to kick it down the line and they get a turnover. Down the line. And in the coverage of this game, you would have noticed a lot of interceptions from Collingwood's backs. A lot of interceptions. That's because of this set play. The structure that they had set up, you don't have too much time. Once you've got the ball, the umpire's going to call you to play on within 10 seconds or whatever it is. So when you look left and you see all those numbers, you look right, your last resort is to kick it down the line. And that just brought in the likes of Quainer, Moore, Howe, and then Darcy pushes down behind the play, so he becomes another extra as the ruck. It just works. That's how all the synergy works. And this is the structure, and this is why they've been so successful so far this year. So it's not only when the opposition have the ball and they go back off the mark, it's also in fast play. So Freo win this ball deep inside Collingwood's forward 50. Just watch how this plays out. So hand pass across, and now because of the synergy and the way they work, look at this. Line of three. And then not the right option to kick inside on that angle, but you will see where he's kicked, 1, 2, and he gets the intercept. I think it's Perryman gets the intercept. So they're always working in synergy, but they're always working in those line of three and making sure that they have enough depth. So they're not too close to each other and they're spread out enough. I'll show you a clip from behind the goals to give an example of this play. So Perryman marks it here. Right, so he comes in and marks it. Right, but the vision of the kicker. So he's got 1, 2, and obviously one chasing him down. But then you've got Elliott's coming into play. This is even a fast play. I think that's Schultz there, and then Perryman. So if Elliott comes into line there's your 3. And you've got run from behind. So it's even in fast play, they do it. Look at this. Always working together in synergy. So I've said this in a previous video that they've trained defence, offence with the whistle to actually line them up and get them straightened and get them in line and in synergy to actually set this play up. Okay, so Pearce marks it on the half back line, or deep inside Collingwood's forward 50. He moves to here. Cox moves to here. This player here moves to here. Why? Because when he gets back off the mark and then is facing his goals, he then sees a line of Collingwood players. Then he looks left, and then he will see a line of Collingwood players. Their V structure. That's what I'm calling it. So it goes back. Alright. You can see Membree's pointing for Elliott to come in line. Or I think that's Macquarie actually. So then you've got a play here deep. So that depth perception I'm telling you about. Depth perception. So he's looking left, but all he sees is this. And then he looks right, and all he sees is that. So the man on the mark obviously has to be still and stationary. But that's over passing lanes. So what Collingwood's trying to do is create passing lanes for the kicker on their left and right. Right, so Pearce then switches the play. Okay? So Collingwood don't worry about if they've got you pinned in the boundary line. It's not a necessity there. But what is a necessity? 1, 2, 3. There is your passing lane. There is the line of the kicker. So what are they doing? They're closing the 45-degree kick inside. So what does this mean? Bomb down the line. So they bomb it down the line, and Tracy marks it. Right, so he's trying to get the ball moving. He should have given the hands off there to Frederick. But he's trying to get the ball moving. And watch what this happens. This is just in fast play. 1, 2, 3. Even if he was to look even further, Darcy Moore's there. They've got that line set up. Turnover. This results in a goal. Schultz ends up getting it. Schultz intercepts. Down to Elliott. Over the back goal. So Freo's got it on the half back line. So you've got that depth perception again. So you've got one there, the man on the mark, and then you've got player inside here. So you've got that line of vision. There's that V set up. They're very, very disciplined and very organised, especially if there's a quick turnover. So this doesn't allow any exits, any chip kicks. So then got depth perception. So you can't. There's just when you're looking, you've hardly got any time to make a decision. You look up, you just see basically defenders. You just see defenders. They're not square. They're actually on an angle. They're on that V. So it makes it a lot harder to actually see where the spares are. Then he just has to kick it down the line. Another turnover. How often did you see this last night? And then over the back. Incredible the way they set it up, how they efficiently set it up, and how organised they are behind the ball. So Freo's going this way. Player there, player there, player there. So when he looks, there's that depth perception. And they've got coverage in the middle here. 1, 2, 3. So there's that V. So it forces him to go down the line towards the boundary line. Comes back. Now look at this. 1, 2, in line with the kicker. And like I said, they don't do the line down here because it's a waste of area for players to be. So looks in, intercept. Okay, so this is my favourite clip of the whole video and the whole play that unfolded against Freo. And this just shows you the synergy of how they get that depth perception, the 3 in line, but this is a fast play. So they kick it out to Bolton, who then can play on. Very rare occurrence last night with Freo actually playing on because they were suffocated with the defence of Collingwood. But watch when he takes a bounce, goes inside forward 50, and he's looking for... Look at that. 1, 2, 3. You even put a 4th in there as well. But there is your depth perception. So even in the point of a fast play, look at that. They're allowing you to kick in there. This player is not even gravitating to that space. He's holding his line of that depth perception, which I keep going on about. But that's so you need some run from behind as well, force them to make that kick. But it's so interesting that that player doesn't even go to that space. He's just always in line with his teammates and the players, and then he kicks it, and then it goes out of bounds. So look at that. Look at that line. So they're always working together. So Freo's come off the half-back line, and they've gone here, slow play. The crowd's starting to boo, and they're starting to get upset, and then they chip it here. Just watch what happens with these three players here. They come into picture. I'll show you exactly what happens. So they're talking about the V. 1, 2, Membry, 3. Look at Membry. He's looking. Are we in line? That's exactly what he's trying to do. Are we in line with the kicker? 1, 2, 3. This depth perception. There's no way they're switching that. And then you've got one on the mark, one there, one here. So there's your V. The V structure, as I'm calling it. So the kicker has got, that's what he sees. So when he gets up, goes left, goes right, just see Collingwood. And yes, you've got players in the middle, but they're not dangerous. Bobby Hill can get that easy, no worries. This player down the line can get this player. This player can get the line. So you can see the layers that they have, that they can not only force the kicker to kick it down the line, but if they want to take that chip shot, they can come off. So they've got all those three layers covered. So Freo win it, half forward flank. Just watch the movement of the Collingwood players behind. Look, 1, 2, 3. There's your line of vision again. So has to look. Can't see any freeze. So Schultz holds. Wait till the others to come up. There's your line of vision again. Coverage. What is it? Then, because you haven't got too much time. Once you get the mark or free kick, you haven't got too much time before the umpire calls play on. He already has. What are your options? Kick it down the line. Right, so Clark wins it on the half-back line. Just watch the movement again of these players. So you've got Dacos in the mark. Watch how this V comes into play. Holding. Look at it. Look at the synergy here. There. Always in line vision of the kicker. Still hold. Look at that. 1, 2, 3. Because that's where he's looking. It's awesome. I love this behind the ball setup that no one's talking about. I saw this in Brisbane. I was very interested to watch the replay, and now I'm watching it again and blown away by how organised they are behind the ball. 1, 2, 3. Can't go in the corridor. They will allow you to have the boundary line, because eventually you're going to have to pull the trigger and go down the line. Looking inside. 1, 2, 3. Alright, so this is the last play, and this just sums up the whole night, and it sums up the whole structure. So Luke Jackson wins it on the half-back line here, and then is looking to switch, but they've got depth perception there. They've got the line. They've got their players set. So comes back to Ryan here. Alright, so watch when he grabs the ball. 1, 2, 3. There's your line. So they've got it all set up. Even if he looks left, there's your line again. There's your V. It chips it in. Very structured. Well set up. Well drilled. They've done thousands of hours on this. So go back into where it was with Luke Jackson. They've shifted. 1, 2, 3. Got coverage inside as well. Just so well drilled. So back off the mark. 1, 2, 3. Line of vision. Can't go in for the short 45. Only option, down the line. So Freo kick it down the line, and this is where they kick inside. Magnificent kick from McCreary. Now, because they've had their structure, they've got all these runners now. Running. They got the turnover. It's Bobby Hill coming this way. Elliott's going that way. All these running patterns, an open forward line. Just unreal from Collingwood. So it was just so good to watch. Their structure, their line of vision, that V setup from the kicker. They use man on the mark as a reference point to make sure that they got their coverage. So when the opposition player has the ball, they look left, they see depth perception, they see those 3 players, they look right, they see those another 3 Collingwood players. But to get in and have that structure set up so quickly, it's just so awesome to see from Collingwood. Behind the ball setup is what is allowing them to win games. And this is forcing clubs to go slow and kick down the line, make a contest. That's where Darcy Moore's coming into play. That's where Darcy Cameron's sitting behind the play as a ruckman. Howe comes off Quainer. And you add Maynard to that as well. Their structure behind the play is what is really impressive at the moment from the Collingwood Football Club.